Well, in today's mental health check, saying sorry doesn't always come easy, right? Especially when there's a serious mistake.
Yeah, it's hard sometimes to take that initiative. Well, an effective and sincere apology can, of course, though, help resolve conflicts, repair relationships, and ultimately benefit both parties involved. Well, joining us now to break this all down is our friend and family and clinical psychologist, Dr. Jennifer Hartstein. Doctor, it's always good to see you. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Love this topic. All right, tell us how to do this. How do we effectively and sincerely apologize? What are some tips?
So first thing you have to think about is, like, what are you apologizing for, right? Because if I hurt your feelings and I think it's no big deal, but you're hurt and my relationship with you matters, I owe you some sort of an apology. And so we want to really start with recognizing the importance of that, how that builds a positive relationship between us, how that keeps us connected, how, it matters to our relationship, and we want to have that be good.
Can you sort of start with validating the other person and saying, like, ooh, I realize that I've offended you?
I would start with, I'm sorry that I offended you. Because when we're a little amorphous in our apology, it kind of loses some of its meaning. And we also use I'm sorry in a validation. I'm really sorry you're feeling that way.
Yes.
Which for some people makes them bristle. So if you really want to apologize, you really want to be able to say, I'm sorry for fill in the blank for what it is that I did wrong.
That I did wrong.
That I did wrong.
Yeah.
And avoid the, but you did.
Yeah.
Fill in the blank on that one, because now you've just taken your whole apology
And
away.
not making it about the other person's feelings, but the action you took.
Right, because my action impacted your feelings, and I want to recognize that I did something that impacted you.
And you say there are benefits to saying I'm sorry for the person saying I'm sorry.
Absolutely, there are benefits for everybody. It helps us feel less stressed. It helps us feel connected. We know connection is an amazing protective factor for our mental health. And it helps, there's research that shows it slows your heart rate. It helps you feel less anxious. So apologizing actually has lots of benefits, mental and physical.
So let's talk about, though, like maybe sort of a gray area, and dare I get personal and say, as a newlywed, I'm learning it's not about necessarily winning, same team, that kind of thing. But saying sorry when maybe you're not sorry, and not that you're not sorry, but you really don't think you did something wrong, or you think that maybe they're not seeing your side or the same perspective. But I do sometimes just, say, what does it matter? We're on the same team, so I'm just going to say I'm sorry. Should you do it?
So it is a gray area, and that's where validation really comes in. I can see you're really upset about this. Is different than I'm sorry I did something that I'm not really sure I'm sorry about. But I can see you're really upset. Can we talk about how we can do this differently in the future? Now I'm honoring how you're feeling.
Yeah.
Not feeling like I have to make myself small to fit into your puzzle, but I am recognizing that we need to do something together to make it better.
What about in the workplace? I think we were thinking of personal relationships, but in the workplace, disagreements, mistakes, it happens, especially in the news business. There's a lot going on, a lot of stress. How do you navigate saying I'm sorry to a colleague?
Well, it's the same thing. Relationships are happening in your workplace the same way they're happening in your life. So if someone says, hey, I'm really upset that you didn't do fill in the blank, recognize, hey, I did that. I'm sorry that it might have impacted your ability to do your work. How can I do it differently in the future? What do you need from me? And then actually follow through. I think the key is if I say to you that I'm going to do something differently, I need to follow through and make sure it happens.
Yeah. What about, I like this, we're kind of taking through different types of relationships with kids. I'm not a parent, but, just as friends with kids and that kind of thing, I think a lot of times, like, well, I'm the adult and I'm right. But what about saying sorry to somebody younger than you? Your child, just a relationship that you have with someone younger, what's that like?
So important. It's so important because it models for them how to interact with other people in their life. We make mistakes. We are human. Adults are human. Parents are human. So if you did something that your child is really upset about, that doesn't mean you have to change what you do, right? You don't have to change the consequence, but you can say, hey, I'm really sorry that we had this fight. Let's talk about why we had the fight. But I think taking responsibility, owning it, it helps build that relationship between the two of you and lets them see you as human and models for them what to do for themselves.
What if a person doesn't accept your apology?
They don't have to. That's the hard part. Okay?
Wow.
Here's the hard part.
Like some self-work.
No, yes. No one is obligated to accept your apology, even though you want them to.
So you just let it float there?
Well, I think the question you have to ask is, hey, I see that you're still upset about this. Is there anything I can do, or do we just need time? And that's the key question.
Dr. Jen Hartstein, you are just, it's
I
so
learned
good.
a lot. I learned a lot.
And we're heading into the weekend. It was so great. So good to see you. Thank you so much.
I'm sorry we have to go to break.
Yeah, there's more news ahead.
You're watching NBC News Tape.